Good morning and welcome back to News Lounge. It seems like we've been experiencing some technical difficulties today, but we're going to soldier on and head to our next interview with Councillor Helen Abrahams.
Beautiful. Now, Helen's here to talk about the South Brisbane Riverside Neighbourhood plan. The plan came into effect on the 15th of April last year and has recently been amended. So now that 12-storey buildings can be built along the Brisbane River.
And originally the proposal was to build 12 storeys and that was rejected, but the LNP has recently amended that and issued a ministerial directive to build the buildings. Now residents aren't exactly happy about that and we're here to talk to Helen about why. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, Miles. Good morning, Holly.
Thank you. Now, first of all, explain what's going on with this whole development. I'm sure there's a lot of communities that are interested in this.
Well, to put it quite simply, this is a community that has very clear understanding of just what makes West End tick. It's a village, it's an area that's got culture, it's an area of diversity and multiculturalism. They have always fought against a change where you just had high-rise development as a wall of development along the river. From the very first time it was mooted, they said, we will support some development, but we don't want a high-rise wall that breaks the existing community off from the river, which changes the whole part of our culture. They said it 3 years ago, they said it when the plan came in, and then with this secret change of letters, which was really just the wipe of a pen that meant the development went from 7 stories to 12 stories, they were outraged and angry. They have been ignored.
Yeah, the original plan came into effect in April, but the changes to the height restrictions didn't come about until August. Were you okay with the plan before those changes to the height restrictions, or were you opposed to development in that area?
No, I wasn't. I never have opposed this plan because it is proposing 55,000 residents to come and live in an area that currently has about 7,000 residents. That in itself may not be bad, but there is no infrastructure that's going with it. So there's no new playground, there's no new footy field, there's no new area for a school, community halls are not part of the process, and certainly nothing like retirement villages or some of that thing, which you would need if you're making a community. 55,000 is almost like a whole new city in an area that already has quite a high density.
For audiences that aren't aware of West End, please tell us why do you think the West End community is different and shouldn't have this development go up?
I think it's unique in that it has got some industrial area along the river, and we are currently in it at this time, where there's a whole lot of innovative industry, and particularly the IT and video industry. So that means people want to come here because of that use. There's old tin and timber in some of the working cottages, and they have been most protected. And then you've got Boundary Street, which is just a dynamic street with lots of coffee, and everyone wants to come there. Put that all together, and it is a unique inner city area with a great buzz. Now, the one thing when you have high-rise units, I don't think anyone ever says there's a great buzz around them. That's why people are fighting for this area.
People look for those little areas, don't they? Those little nook areas. It's what makes Brisbane what it is.
Absolutely. The market in Davies Park has people from all over Brisbane coming every Saturday to just enjoy being in West End.
Yeah. Well, we spoke to quite a few locals to see what they thought about the development, and we're going to have a look at what they said now.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear the views from that community there.
I really love West End. I think it's a great little area. It's got lots of entertainment options, restaurants, and all that sort of thing. So it's close to my workplace, which is an added bonus. So I work in the CBD. So yeah, I find it a great little area with lots of great things to do.
Just wondering if you've heard about the South Brisbane Riverside Development Plan.
No.
No. Are you a local resident?
Yes.
And you haven't been consulted?
No. I think maybe more in the South Brisbane where it's more commercial, it would be fine, around like the museum, QPAC, etc. I know they're going to develop that, I believe, but this I think is a little bit special. You know, with the markets, you've got the houses. I think 12-storey high-rises definitely would affect just the whole feel and vibe of West End. Yeah.
I guess that's what happens in politics, you know, deals are done and so forth. Whether or not it's right or wrong, I don't know. I guess both sides would do it, so sort of look at it pragmatically in that regard. But in terms of, you know, like having a high-rise building, I mean, I don't actually own a property here, but I could imagine if you were a property owner, you would be concerned about having views blocked and that sort of thing. So I guess it could sort of decrease the value of your property if you own an apartment or something like that. And I guess the other danger too is if once you go over that sort of limit that was set, and it's been like that for a while, then it just opens up a can of worms in terms of developers just wanting to you know, keep on increasing the height levels.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think that's absolutely right. We just don't want a sort of business style, yuppie sort of area, you know. This is an area full of real people and who have real values and really care about social issues and human rights, and I feel the higher they go, the more we'll lose our soul. Well, I really don't believe that they should be expanding on the heights that they've already agreed to. And I think this is a lovely area, West End area, and we really don't want it to be spoilt.
6 to 7-storey, yeah, but yeah, 12, I think. Just even the infrastructure of the area, I don't think it necessarily can handle it.
And keep the community. It's a fantastic community. It's a real community.
Yeah, some great opinions there. There's obviously a lot of controversy happening in the community. Helen, do you think the LNP took any of those opinions into consideration when this got passed?
No, they didn't. I know there were 496 individually written submissions, and that's huge. Normally you only get about 20 or 30. And as well as that, in front of me, I've got 4,000 petitions, looks like, and they are people in this area saying to the Lord Mayor and the LNP, don't give us the density. We want to keep the community as it is. And you can just hear that coming from the people you've interviewed as well.
Helen, can you tell us a bit more about the ministerial directive that they issued and the secret letter deal that you spoke about earlier and how that came around?
Yeah, I think it's really important when we're talking about this plan that involves South Brisbane and West End right along to the river to the very end of Orley Park. Now, the community has always felt south of Davies Park is an area that should stay as it is, but that was not to be. And when the plan came in 2011, the LNP insisted it should be 7 stories. In the main, the community wanted about 4 or 5. But the Lord Mayor really wanted his 12 stories, just so it'd look exactly the same as Milton that we saw in the backdrop of some of those interviews. Anna Bligh, the former Premier, Minister, said no, there was not sufficient infrastructure, it had to remain 7. The Lord Mayor had another go to try and put 12 stories in, and again, another state government minister, as he can, through a directive, said it must remain 7 stories. As soon as that former Lord Mayor became the Premier, there was an exchange of letters between his minister and the now Lord Mayor Graham Quirk that said no need to advertise, we can just assume that we can go up to 12 stories. And that's what they did, just through an exchange of letters.
Where to now, Helen? What's next?
This community is still angry. This community is still fighting for what is here. And I am, in some ways, the developments aren't going ahead because it's hard economic times. So that gives us a little window of possibly some sense coming into the scheme. But if not, they will oppose every development that may go for higher than the 12 stories. And that's what the developers will do. They'll go for 14. This community will make sure they stay true to this plan.
Keep fighting for it, Helen. We're on board with you there.
Thank you.
We'll be back shortly with more news and sports headlines. Don't go away.